since the morning. It's going to start picking up the pace there as it comes closer to Florida before it makes landfall, likely sometime on Wednesday afternoon. The forecast currently calls for the storm to reach potentially a Category 4 with landfall at a Category 3. Now, don't get too focused on this cone and on a specific spaghetti model. There's still a lot of uncertainty on this. The entire Florida peninsula on the Gulf side has the potential to have major impacts from storm surge. How that storm ultimately develops in terms of the track will obviously have a big impact in terms of which areas are going to get more damage than others, but there's just no way to say that, well, if you're in this part of the Gulf Coast, you're probably going to be fine. There's no way it's going to get here. No, there's actually a lot of range of possibilities when it comes to this storm. So just be mindful of that and let that uncertainty influence your preparations to know that you're not going to be able to be told with 100-degree certainty where this storm is going to go this far out in advance. We signed an executive order declaring a state of emergency yesterday. We now have 51 Florida counties that are in that executive order. We do the standard stuff so people can prepare, our state resources, local governments. But one of the things that we did was make sure that all debris, disaster debris management sites that are in landfills and counties that were impacted by Hurricane Helene, that they remain open 24/7 for drop-off. And yes, we had a situation this morning in Pinellas County, bright and early. No one was there, so we just opened it. The state officials opened it and are using it, and we need to do that. We have directed state personnel to help with this, and so you've got a lot of assets that have been brought to bear, and we're happy to do that to assist and to supplement, not to displace, but to supplement local government's obligations on debris removal. We are at a level 1 here. As of the 5 o'clock advisory, Hurricane Milton was located 805 miles west-southwest of Tampa. Maximum sustained winds have now reached 85 miles per hour. Kevin and his team at Florida DEM are fulfilling missions actively in preparation for the storm making landfall in the state of Florida. We've sent high water rescue vehicles to Hillsborough and Pinellas counties, where there are some models having the eye of the storm making landfall, although I think the more recent track is that it's slightly south of Tampa Bay. Again, a lot of uncertainty. No way you could be wedded to one particular spaghetti plot at this point. In Hillsborough, we've deployed nearly 400 feet of flood protection systems. These things have worked when you have critical infrastructure, so we're going to continue to be doing that over the next few days in anticipation of the storm. We're coordinating 1,800 feet of flood protection systems for different types of critical infrastructure throughout counties like Hillsborough and Manatee. We're actively fulfilling over 32 separate requests for flood protection devices. We were in Manatee Memorial Hospital last week doing an event. They used it. They didn't flood. Most of the other places they're right on the water, flooded. The devices worked, and so we're happy to do that. We have almost 600 ambulances ready to assist healthcare facilities. And as I previously noted, the debris removal mission leading into the storm, certainly for all today, all Monday, and probably all of Tuesday, as long as it's safe to do so, is 24/7. It's round the clock, and that's the way it's got to be. The Hurricane Helene left a lot of debris in its wake that did damage to homes. People have had to take things out, and just sitting there is a hazard. Now, I know there's been a lot of problems with these contractors and these local governments. I think Kevin has laid down the law on that. I mean, if these contractors are not fulfilling their responsibility, there's going to be penalties for that. And we're not just going to sit idly by. You're under contract, you make money off the local government or city, and then you don't show up. That doesn't work for us. And so we'll make sure that we respond accordingly. We currently have 415,000 gallons of diesel, 250,000 gallons of gasoline, and an additional 315,000 gallons of both diesel and gasoline are en route. I think people know, fuel comes in, like the Port of Tampa. At some point, given the track of this storm, the port is going to make a decision to do. I'm not saying that's going to happen now or tomorrow, but there will be an interruption in that port and probably some other ports. So we do have fuel that is on hand. I directed DEM and FDOT to supplement the existing sand removal in addition to debris removal when the storm surge came on these barrier islands in places like Manatee and Pinellas County, left massive amounts of sand. They already had to truck huge amounts of sand when we did SR 786 in Manatee and Sarasota counties, and we're happy to do that, but man, it's a lot. So they're doing it, and they're helping it, removing the sand in addition to removing the debris. So we have Florida National Guard, Florida State Guard, additional FDOT personnel, Florida Highway Patrol are all hands on deck for this debris removal mission in advance of Hurricane Milton. Over 800 guardsmen are currently deployed in impacted areas, and we are in process of mobilizing a total of 4,000 to be deployed throughout the state. National Guard's also deploying heavy equipment to assist with debris removal, including Army and Air Force horizontal construction units, tactical high water vehicles, dump trucks, and front-end loaders. Division of Emergency Management is coordinating with local EM directors to inform them of the debris waste and landfill sites that have been ordered to remain open 24/7 and are surging assets, of course, to supplement local debris removal coordination. Now, this is a 24/7 moment for this debris removal. You have a storm and then have one less than 2 weeks later, two majors back to back. That is not something that is easy. That creates a lot of challenges. And so what we have to do is just do it around the clock until it's no longer safe to do it. So that's what the state assets are doing. That is what the local assets need to be doing as well. This is not a 9 to 5 debris removal. You're not going to be able to get it done if you just do 9 to 5. So we need everybody doing 24/7. And we would also advise local governments to do what the state government is doing. If we have a dump truck at FDOT and that dump truck's coming to pick up debris, the Helene debris in areas that are in the eye of the forecast for Milton. It doesn't matter if that was their normal task. We're marshaling that. So local governments, they have dump trucks, they have different things in different departments. Bring it all together for these next 48 plus hours so that we can get the debris as much as possible. You may not be able to get all of it. There is a lot of it. But, man, you can certainly make a difference on that. But it's got to be 24/7. Otherwise, the state will be able to help and we'll be able to make an impact. But we need everybody, all hands on deck on that. All requests for dump sites are approved. DEP is not holding anything up. They're not going to do that. Kevin is not going to let that happen. I've been able to speak with heads of some of the big utilities in the state of Florida today. They are marshaling resources for power restoration. I think everybody understands this potentially could be really significant in terms of the power outages and likely exceeding what we just saw for Hurricane Helene. Now, there is just the reality that the country just had a major hurricane. I think people in Florida were like, okay, we had 2.4 million restorations. Most of those restorations were done within a relatively short time frame, certainly by historical standards, very, very short compared to past storms, which is great. But some of these other states still have a lot of people without power, so there are crews working in some of those other states. That just means it may be a little more challenging getting people here, but they're all committed to doing it, having the resources ready, and then getting moving with the restoration as soon as possible. All of our assets that had been assisting in North Carolina and Tennessee are back, so they're ready to go in the state of Florida, doing whatever we need to be able to respond to this storm. And we anticipate a big storm, strong storm. There's going to be response that's going to be needed on the search and rescue. I do think a lot of Floridians are understand that this, when you see the path the way it's on, it's like coming right at. I do think psychologically people